All right, we just got a big update on this Tim Pool story that's all over the internet right now, and I need your help. If you don't know who Tim Pool is, he's this big right-wing MAGA creator. He posts, podcasts, YouTube videos like this one. He posts on Twitter, all the rest, and he screams about right-wing BS, frankly. And the thing is, he recently claimed that his property was fired upon, like somebody came to his house maybe looking to hurt him, which I do want to point out, I don't condone. I never think that that's acceptable in this environment. The thing is, he's gotten in a lot of controversy because a lot of his own base is claiming that he made it up for essentially clout, for fame, to be important. And TMZ just wrote a story claiming the cops can't substantiate this. So I want to dive into it, and I want your thoughts, because I tend to be a person, sometimes to my own fault, who I see the good in people. I do. And I don't love jumping into the, oh, he's making it up, she's making it up, whatever. And so I want you to be the judge. I'm going to show you what's going on, and you tell me. Before we get into it, my name is Chris Mowrey. I'm filling in for Adam Mockler on the Adam Mockler channel. If you enjoy this content, there's a link to my YouTube channel in the description down below. It means so much. If you checked it out, maybe you watched a video, it would really mean a lot. On this channel, we're trying to build something big to punch back against this Timcast, Tim Pool, this right-wing ecosystem that is very well built. Partly well built because, they were getting massive amounts of money from the Russians, which we'll also talk about in this video. But on this channel, we're trying to combat that, beat it by uplifting Gen Z voices and giving you, not right-wing BS, give you more of the factual news, the things that are going on. And so if you want to help us grow, join this community, drumroll, please. All you have to do is hit subscribe down below. All right, before we hop into this TMZ article, let's play this video. Let me kind of update you. This is what Tim Pool was saying just the other day about continuing his show, Timcast.
So where does it leave us? We have 2 weeks left in the year before we go on our Christmas hiatus. I'm not a big fan of any kind of hiatus. I would prefer just to work. But it is taxing, it is grueling, of course. And there's a lot of infrastructure here that requires me to work all day, every day, Monday to Friday, with some extra work on the weekends, usually meetings. And I'm probably going to have a stroke. My health's actually pretty good. My blood pressure is great. My resting heart rate is actually around 45. I exercise quite a bit. Haven't been able to skate in the past month or two, the holidays, and But we have to have these conversations, and I have been with the people, our contractors, people we work with, our vendors, partners. And one thing is clear. The violence will get worse. It is going to escalate. We cannot keep going as status quo. Something has to change. It may be that, as we described after the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the threat to come and shoot up our studio and our workplace, we asked, at what point do we say, we can't do this anymore? The cost of running Timcast IRL Studio and the projects around it exceeds the amount of money it brings in. That's just that breaking point, isn't it, for any business? If you need $100 to, run your restaurant, but you're only bringing 90, you go out of business. The issue? The cost isn't cameras or lights. The cost is security because of the escalation. It's an artificial cost to doing business that we can't balance. We can't forego security, but we can't sustain it either. So I've had some conversations with our partners, been talking with Rumble. There may be a solution, and it's going to be rapid change very quickly.
And so that's where we're at. Tim Pool saying, the security to deal with all of these threats is too much. Now, again, I want to be clear. Political violence is never acceptable. This type of stuff is not acceptable. The thing is, he's in so much controversy, because is it true? I also want to point out him saying, again, because this drives me a little nuts, we don't have the money to keep running. He was getting $100,000 a week from Tenant Media. We saw the indictments. It turned out $100,000 a week from Russia. He claims he was duped by the Russians to receiving this money. But when money from our foreign adversaries dries up, you can't run your show. It's like, that's okay. I'm not sure how bad I really feel about that. I don't love the fact that he was taking money from the Russians, and you're going to figure out why in a second. So this is the TMZ article, and I want to know your thoughts. Conservative pundit Tim Pool claims shots fired at his property. Cops can't substantiate story. Conservative commentator Tim Pool says someone opened fire on his West Virginia home last week, but we've spoken to police and they say they can't corroborate his story. Here's the deal. On Saturday, he wrote on Twitter that a vehicle approached his house the previous evening and opened fire, though he adds no one was injured in the alleged shooting. And these are the tweets right here saying, my immediate thought is someone was trying to scare us. Pool said his security was looking into the incident and would relay information to the proper authorities in due course. Before later posting, my immediate thought is someone was trying to scare us, but we have a security gate and armed guards, and it's possible this deterred something more serious. Well, we reached out to the authorities, TMZ did, and the Berkeley County, I believe, Sheriff's Office tells us a man who identified himself as a security guard for Pool reported shots fired at the house after seeing a gray sedan circle the property multiple times during the day. Authorities went to the house and cleared the call. Officers say they asked Tim Pool for the video footage from the property, but they were denied. As a result, the reports of shots fired could not be substantiated. We reached out to Tim Pool and he says we were advised not to release the footage as it will compromise security, exposing property personnel and our security measures, but he invited TMZ to West Virginia to view the footage, and people on social media are raking Pool over coals because of this incident, claiming the dude made it up for clout, but he's insisting it did happen. And so the memes come alive, right? If you know, the memes come alive saying that he faked it for clout. People referencing past posts that he's made. This is from December of 2022, that there's a 9mm bullet lodged in my kitchen last night. And then this is from, the one on the right is from more recently, but 2022, claiming he was shot at. And then there's the conservative on conservative violence, if you will, the fighting. Candace Owens here saying the shooting Tim Pool survived in December of 2022 was committed by his brother, by the way. His brother was the one who fired the weapon on his property. He cannot deny this fact. And this was posted, 2 days ago on Twitter. So again, conservatives claiming he made it up. Everybody angry at Tim Pool. I have personally been swatted before. My family's been swatted. We've gotten mail to my house. And people on Twitter have claimed that I've made this all up. They've claimed that they've, called the authorities and the authorities couldn't, substantiate X, Y, or Z, even though I, provided any type of evidence. After a while, I said, I don't need to provide evidence to these types of people, but that's where my head immediately goes, which is, online discourse can get a little crazy. But considering the right wing and his own base are like, this is something Tim Pool would do. This is, he has done this before, or we believe he's done this before. Maybe he would. Again, you can let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is somebody on Twitter. You can tell by Tim Pool's tweets that Candace Owens is 100% correct in what she said. You can actually sometimes tell by the way people lie what the actual truth of the matter was. Candace claims that Tim's brother shot a gun on his property. Tim didn't deny that fact, but instead changed her claim to shot at me and then denies the new fabricated claim. People try to correct him in the comments, but he never addresses the actual claim of his brother was the one who shot at his property in 2022. Again, the funding dries up. We can't substantiate the cost of this security. Well, again, we learned through these indictments, through this big tenant media scandal, that all these right-wing influencers like Tim Pool, Jack Posobiec were receiving money from the Russians. They all say in these, after being interviewed before these indictments, that they were duped by the Russians. They had no idea it was the Russians funding them, but it's very clear the Russians were funding them. It wasn't clear. I could watch a video and think that the Russians are funding you. Take a listen to this.
Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy.
For their millions of followers, influencers like Tim Pool and Laura Southern are sticking it to the mainstream media. Contrary, alternative right, independent.
People are at a boiling point, and understandably so. Crowds are gathering in Southport.
For others, though, they're the effluencers, spewing out hate, excavating division, cashing in on the culture wars. The indictment issued by the US Justice Department yesterday doesn't concern itself with that, though. Its focus, an alleged illegal money trail that it says connects alt-right influencers to Vladimir Putin. It's all part of a broader operation by US law enforcement to clamp down on a Russian campaign to influence the American presidential election in November. The devil, though, is in the detail of the federal indictment. It's issued against 2 Russian media executives in Moscow, but brings the reader on quite the ride. Here is the gist of it. The indictment alleges that two people working for Putin's favorite media outlet in Moscow, RT, funneled around $10 million to a Tennessee-based company, exactly matching the description of Tenet Media. It was founded by right-wing YouTuber Lauren Chen and her husband Liam Donovan. The company then distributed the money to its stable of content creators. The influencers on Tenet's book include Tim Pool, Lauren Southern, Dave Rubin and Benny Johnson. The indictment does not say that Moscow told the influencers themselves directly what to say. Today, Pool and some of the others addressed the issue and said they were duped by the Russians, the very definition, according to some, of a useful idiot.
A useful idiot, correct. That's correct. And again, it's so crazy that people can look at, oh, we wanted Donald Trump to win the election because he's strong on Russia, he cares about the United States. If Vladimir Putin is essentially funneling money to make sure these creators stay alive to push Trump, probably indicative of the fact that Donald Trump is not good for American interests, but is good for Russian interests, is good for not American interests, right? And they say, oh, well, we weren't told what to say. Useful idiot. You didn't need to be told what to say. You were just engaged in the misinformation already. Quote, Ukraine is the enemy of the people. Absurd. And so, yeah, when the foreign adversaries stop, funneling you money, I guess you don't have any money to run your show. He's also in hot water right now because his audience is upset that he left a meeting. He met actually with Benjamin Netanyahu in D.C., had an interesting discussion. People were very upset about that. The right wing is all fighting. They're all angry at each other. And I want to know your thoughts. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comments down below. Look, I appreciate you watching this video. Truly, it means so much. Once again, my name is Chris Mowrey, filling in for Adam Mockler on the Adam Mockler channel. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel. There's a link right down below. It means so much. And on this channel, make sure you're subscribed. Hit the notification bell, stay up to date on all the news. I hope that you have a great weekend. Stay warm out there if you're in the north. I said it in the last video I made for Adam. I recently moved from Atlanta to Chicago. It's quite cold in Chicago, so at least for someone born and raised in Georgia. So trying to stay warm. I hope you do the same. Do something fun this weekend, and I will see you in the next video.